This is a pretty interesting YouTube video. Actually, I've seen this. I just put this in PDF. But Zhironovsky, threatened to destroy the world using secret weapons, and he's claiming that the tsunami was an act committed by Russia on the Japanese. I'm going to point out, people in the United States listening to this Russia Today, and all the criticism of the United States, not a peep out of Russia Today or RT America about this guy, But truthfully speaking, he does state one thing in here, and it is very true. The four big parts of the world that control everything is the United States, the European Union, referred to as Brussels, Moscow, referred to Russia, Beijing, and China. Those are the four people that count. And I'm going to make a quick comment about Gaddafi in Libya. He would have been better off abandoning that golden dinar because he's lost. Basically maybe he's alive, but all the damage that was done wasn't worth it. And I could say the same thing with Iran. You think Putin's going to back you? He's going to use that as propaganda, and he's going to give a damn about Iran. He ain't going to back up Iran. So, just a word to the wise. Not that anybody's going to listen to what I got to say, but you're pushing your luck too much. I know the Western interests aren't going to put up with it. And that's just what's going to happen. But this was something I found interesting, and I'm going to post this link because this Russia Today, I really don't buy into all the crap they're talking about in the United States. They got these young female reporters in there that don't know anything how they're being used, like a bunch of idiots, and they're talking all this stuff, truthfully, about the Western elites and the bankers and all this type of stuff. But I'm going to tell you, this is a very interesting article. This goes back before 2008, 2009, when we had the stock market downturns and the economic recession started. This was back in August 31st, 2007, by J.R. Nyquist, right? I'm going to post a link on this too. And he knows a lot about Anatoly Golitsyn. I want to point out about him. He was a major in the KGB, defected, I believe, in 1961. He wrote one book, New Lies for Old, which was printed and published in 1984, but it was a series of memoranda to the CIA from 1980 and prior, mostly in the 70s actually. Almost all his predictions came true. He had another one, Perestroika Deception, written in 1984, published in 1984, I believe. 1995. 1995. And that same thing. And it's pretty obvious that the Eastern Bloc nations have not just, shrugged off communism so easily. It was basically restructuring. But I'm going to read some of this because I think it's, remember this was written in 2007. I think it pertains to today. It could be written today. Russia is not only engaged in a military buildup. Russia wants to use its economic muscles. You must ask what economic muscles Russia could have. It's bankrupt, backward, hobbled, demoralized, and generally dismissed as an effective economic actor. We must remember, however, that positions in the world economy can change, tables can be turned, and actually that's quite obviously what's happened. The Russians call for new international financial architecture. In other words, that's their final phases in economic strategy. What is going on is long range. What Russia is doing is they're counting on economic collapse in the West. When they have economic collapse, that's when you're going to actually see maybe a military action. And they got people like Zhironovsky just bragging about things that they could wipe out whole continents and stuff. So, recently, you're not going to see that on Russia Today or RT America. They want to keep pushing oil. This is Russia now. They want to keep pushing oil prices higher and weaken the dollar. So that is why Russia's behind Iran. But believe me, Russia doesn't give a damn about Iran. If we attack Iran, it's not going to start World War III. That's why the Iranians should be backing off and dealing, because they're going to lose out. To tell you the truth, I'm just being real about it. Russian President Vladimir Putin believes the United States is vulnerable. The emerging economies of Brazil, India, China, combined with Russia, get shoved to hollowed out American economy aside. After all, the American economy ascendancy is archaic, undemocratic, unwieldy. Now, these are Putin's beliefs. So Americans are following Russia today. You know, they're making Putin look like a great guy who's got, you know, according to the internet, $40 billion, but he's worth a hell of a lot more than that, believe me. As in Europe, its dependence on Russian energy exports, which is Gazprom, they get all their natural gas from Russia, will assure a smooth process of Finlandization. Such a process begins with gentle warnings from Russia's ambassadors in Europe and ends with self-censorship. So, I mean, a lot of things that are going on, even in the European Union, you don't know the full story. So, you know, I think people in the United States got to be careful of what they're doing, because or how they're being used. In other words, the Kremlin has entered into a fabric of European political life through agents, networks, influence operations, and business pressure. They could be used to influence powerful people to adversely affect anybody's careers who opposes Russia's interest. And to tell you, there's actually a lot of other things. You know, I'm not going to get into this kind of conspiracy stuff, but I read this years and years and years ago, from even in the 90s and, you know, mid 90s, early 90s, whatever. There are ways to assassinate political leaders where you can make it look like a natural disease. They can get liver cancer and die in a couple months, and there's ways to administer these type of things. So there's a lot, you know, you don't need to do it where it's so obvious. The Communist bloc will not repeat its error of failing to exploit a slump as it did in 1929 and 1932. So when there's an economic slump in the United States, things are looking bad, they're going to go in and exploit it as much as possible. The smartest political observers know that a financial slump resurrects Marxism and its critique of economic freedom. And I know we don't have exactly great economic freedom in a true sense, but watch how people are being played. The economic weaknesses of Russia led Europe to feel safe about their growing dependence on Russian oil and gas, and now it's too late. This is in 2007, remember. This is written. I think this applies perfectly to today. The actions of Russia are not in reaction to American aggression or imperialism. They're part of a long-established pattern of deception and exploitation, and this is how the Russian leaders and background behave. You know, a lot of people don't realize a lot of this stuff has been planned a long time. And, you know, I'm not wanting to evolve into conspiracy theories, but I do know that a lot of money, many years ago, that was sent to Russia to dismantle weapons was actually being used to develop better weapons. Their nuclear stockpile is way in excess of the United States. It's been that way, and it's been that way for years. These predictions, I'm talking about Anatoly Golitsyn, the KGB major defected in 1961. Of his predictions, 139 have been fulfilled out of 143, I think it was, by the end of 1993, which was an accuracy rate of nearly 94% correct. And actually, he also predicted Russia's use of oil as a weapon, and having predicted a future alliance between Russia and China. So he got two more right. So he now, so it's 141 out of 148, excuse me, not 143. He also wrote an article about the mafia that rules Russia. I can tell you for a fact that that is true. I mean, people talk about the Italian and Sicilian mafia. These people are unbelievably wealthy. The Russian, unbelievably wealthy. I do have one side note. And as a recommendation to our American militaries, one thing I really gets me peeved, and this is actually off subject, is the actual rifle that they've been using for the American military for years. They have developed something which is called the 6.5 Grindel, and they have a 6.8 Remington, which is actually a major improvement over the M16 NATO cartridge. The Grindel is actually almost the same weight as the standard NATO cartridge, the 5.56, but is actually much more ballistically superior to this large cartridge. I don't know why the hell they aren't giving this to everybody, especially in the Marine Corps, because at least the Marine Corps thinks a little more independently. But just as a side note, the trajectory on the 6.5 Grindel is far superior to everything, and even the energy is far superior to anything. And I know this chart talks about retained energy percentage, and these are statistics, but this small round, which is, you can carry 28 of these for the 30 in weight of the NATO, it's a standard round. This round is actually, at 300 yards, is more energy than this big round. So it's a major improvement. I don't know why the hell they don't have this out to everybody. And it's a very, very small modification. They just have to change the upper receiver on the weapon, which is nothing, or even just the barrel itself, and the magazines, and that's it. I mean, it's really nothing to change. I don't know why the hell they don't do this, because talk about wasting lives over something they should be doing a long time ago. I know they got the money for it.